Cool. So on Monday, we basically talk about this MIDI player, which will be sort of part of your homework. Cool. And I think there's some issue in Max 9 when we try it on Monday. Let's see. Anyway, just to recap, we basically look at, no doubt it's like the way how you interact with MIDI outputs. So now you are not doing those, the easy deck stuff where you want to play a sound. So for MIDI, it's basically sending some information through the MIDI synthesizer on your laptop so that you don't actually, for now, need to worry about making weird sounds from the system. Which is oftentimes one of the tricky thing about working with Macs. Initially, you will get a lot of like noise. But basically, you send these MIDI message. Basically, 60 will be node number, velocity, and channel. So these are the way node on. This will be node off because velocity is 0. So whenever velocity is 0, meaning that you close or turn off that node. And PGMR will be program out so that you can control the program. So MIDI is like a state based system where you set the program, then you will keep it until the next time you change it. So one thing you might notice is that it's a little bit tricky to work with that because you have to like node down and node off all the time. So you can actually just use this make node thing. So this make node thing that we talked about last week on Monday, that will generate the 60, 100, 0 thing. So this will be the pitch, and then velocity, and then the channel. And then this 1,000 thing is that it will wait for 1,000 millisecond, and then it will send the node off event. So now will be 60, 0, 0. So it will send the pitch 60, velocity now 0, channel 0, so that it turned off this pitch that you just make. So this make node will automatically handle that for you. And we've also looked at these, when I unlock it, these all different inlet. So the first inlet is pitch, so that you can actually send multiple things into the same pitch, rather than, these will be the first and second and the third one. The second one will be the velocity. So here we can actually use this to control the velocity. But in this case, when you set 100, then it will be the default value. Until you change something here, then it will replace the default value here. 1,000 will be the duration, 0 will be the channel. And the outlets here at the bottom is the outlet. So sort of like in Max, everything go from the top to the bottom. So, these are inputs, these are outputs. So the outputs will be pitch outputs. So you connect pitch output to node out inlet, and, velocity to velocity, channel to channel, of course. So this is the way you can sort of like do it without messing up with, node on, node off. You don't need to worry about it. And then you can actually look at how we can turn like using these like K, forgot it again, like what's this thing called? Let me see. K slider, yeah, I'm right. K slider, so keyboard slider things. So you can actually grab it at the top here, this piano keyboard thing, so that you can play with it. And we talk about like, this is like 0 velocity, 127 velocity, 0 velocity, 127 velocity. But anyway, you can get the outputs here with, oops, it's gone. I close it. Anyway, you will have the velocity, the pitch and velocity outputs in the case. And this part is essentially what you will be implementing in, not that part, these and these. If I move it here, these are essentially what you want to have in your homework, but you need additional work so that when you, oops, Control E to lock it. When you change the instrument, it should automatically set to the correct channel and the correct program. So yeah, mess up with it. Likely it might take some time for you to get the correct routing. Question on this? Cool. We would just go through some of the basics and and there's actually a bug here that we found on Monday where I forgot to connect the channel. I still haven't fixed it. Anyway, later on, we will have some hands-on practice on those. But for now, I mean, just take a look on some of the basics, and then we will start doing something. MIDI keyboard, max pad. So this is what we talk about on Monday as well. So this is essentially how we can do it. So we will have key, select 97, 119, blah, blah, blah. These are the key that I press. So if you get a message out, you can actually connect to the right-hand side of the message so that you see when you press A, you see 97, press S, you see 115, press D, you see 100. So that these are 97, 115, 100. There will be C, D, E for the keys. So you can connect those to make the sounds, basically. Cool. I guess it's good now that we can try to do something on this, shall we? I guess now try to log in and do something like this to get a sense how things work, how you can do this. Cool. Shall we log in to Max to get started? Yeah, sometimes in Max, it's like, well, looking at these, it's easy to see what's going on, but when you do it yourself, then you realize there's so many weird stuff.
Reset if somebody, it says Andrew, if there's something like, how do you wipe that so that I can
Log in? You just log off, I guess?
I don't see a log off, that's why I'm.
Yeah, let's try to do something like this. Try to redo this in Max.
Is there a starter file or we start from scratch?
From scratch, I guess that would be best. The starter file is basically everything. Yeah. So get yourself familiar with what Max is messing up about. Because there's a lot of shortcuts. Control E is likely the first thing you will notice that is very tricky. So you know, when you see all the inlets and outlets light up, that's meaning that you're in unlock mode. If you click on something that just you know doesn't have any effects, then you know you likely didn't unlock it. Yep. Cool. Let me know. We're good. If you want to zoom in, just hold Control and just scroll, then you can zoom in.
Always been in this weird, allow PC client, I guess, allow, you know,
I don't know, likely because of all the movements.
this one, right? That's how it's.
Yep. So when you open up, it's just a Max console. So you have to click File to get the new file. Control N likely will give you a new batch. What's the difference? They technically act the same. So message is just like it could hold everything. It could be a string, it could be a number, whatever. And number is something you can interact with. So it's just that number you can just scroll it like this, and message is like you can click it.
So all the numbers are,
These are messages.
the messages. What about the one next to the select?
Those are also message. What's your question?
Oh, they can hold, you said they can hold like screens or something?
It could hold anything, and it depends on what this thing think these are, right? It's like it's apparently some numbers. So even it's like string, when it sends it in, it will interpret it as a number. Yeah. So yeah, message is a bit tricky. It's like it could be whatever, basically.
Okay.
And you will notice that one thing different here is that I'm using these to the left-hand side. So in this case, it's the right-hand side. So one is like red, one is blue. But anyway, this is like showing what this is into this message things. But in this case, you are triggering to click this message. And so the left inlet of the message box is to sort of like click it. So think about it like a button with some output. And the right one would set what that message is. So it has different purpose. That's why now we are connecting it to a different inlet. Any other problems? Likely a lot.
So just to clarify, the select and then all the numbers next to it, because they look different than the message ones. They have this top.
Even these?
Oh, is that all the select? Or is this separate things? Oh,
It's in select. Yeah.
oh,
And so as you add more stuff, the select object will actually depends on how many you have and get all the
Okay.
in that outlet out.
so in the select, I should write
Just space. Yeah.
space and then those numbers, where did you get those numbers?
Oh, those numbers are basically, that's predefined.
Oh, how did you get it? You didn't type it in?
I type it in. So you just select and space 97 space 119.
But like, what are they?
What are they?
Isn't it-
A S A W S E D F T G Y H J. That's the keyboard.
Okay.
So now we are building a keyboard on your laptop.
Okay.
So
How did
those-
you get 97 and 119? Like, is there a thing that tells you what it?
I mean, the easiest way is just like press, right? Yeah. I mean, typically you can actually just use your MIDI input. You can
The
actually,
thing that's outputting to is a message.
sorry, what?
Like when you're pressing and it's changing the number, that's a message. The thing on the left, not that.
I mean, this is a message. Yeah.
Yeah.
So message is one of the weird thing in Macs. Yeah. Actually, since you are using the machine,
That's so very fun. So you just did A, S, E, F, G, H, I.
I think I could also use this. Yep. So, now we are building this like keyboard control where you can use AWSD basically. But we actually have the keyboard, so you can actually just use Node in and get the key. So when I press C, this will be the pitch and this is the velocity. So typically if you have a keyboard, then you just note in and just make the note, or even note in it and note down, note off, it will be handled directly. You don't even need this. You could just send it to note out.
So is another way of doing this that we could have done with the formula, like you said, where we take the raw number and
Yeah. You can do the cycle thing. Yeah. So the expression,
like an easier way, or well, like a longer way, but like a more simple to follow way where you're mapping individual keys to.
oh, you mean this thing?
Like
Yeah, there's other ways. But usually, there's so many different ways. You could also use a funnel to do it. But in any case, you need to know these strings.
right.
You need to know these
Right,
numbers.
'cause
So
that's
there's
what
different
that's
things.
what the keyboard's perceived as, or like your key presses are perceived as.
Yeah, and also not all the keyboard is in QWERTY, right? There's also other layout.
Yeah.
So in any sense, you have to have these numbers encoded somewhere. There's other tabs you can find are other options to do this in different ways. You could also have a JSON file if you like. And then you can have like different profiles of your keyboard mapping, encoding basically. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. But Max, I think usually the easiest way is, the more explicit, the better. And you can always, use message to sort of debug. And oftentimes you will have a bunch of, things at the somewhere else so that you just show whether the model is working.
Oh wait, the last one's not attached to anything?
Oh yeah, the last one is like when there's no match. If you hover onto it, you see input. If input doesn't match, so it will basically just pass this out.
Oh,
So you can have a message here to show what you will get from those. So as I said, you can actually look at what the band message, what the output here. So, when I press A would be 97, you get the bank. Actually, this is sending out a bank. So a bank will trigger this message. When the left channel is a bank, then it will press the things and it will send a 60 to this. So that's what's happening. And now if you press something else, say I press Z, it's not there, 122, then it will pass through the last one and just send 122 here. It won't send a bank because there's not the match. Whenever it's only when I press 97, the first one will be a bang. Or even better, you could visualize it as a button. So when I press A, you see that bang. Still no sound.
Is there a way to do multiple wire connections at once?
I
Like
don't
make all of these connect to the net now?
I,
They just drag it along.
I don't know. I bet there's something, but oftentimes I was like, yeah, I should just Google. I would just do it. I don't know. There's tons of shortcuts. So one of the shortcuts that's not so trivial is that, if you have these things and you want to add a slider in between, one thing you can do is hold Shift. So when you put it here, nothing happened. If you hold Shift and then put it here, it will actually just insert it in between. So that's, there's tons of like shortcuts in Max that just.
What is load mask?
Load mask is like when the whole patch load, it will send this message. So load message. So it will send this message when the whole thing's load up. So it will send a 100. So set this to 100 and then all the way set the velocity to 100. So it won't have any effects if you're not opening this thing up. Yeah, you good? Yeah, for the node in here, you have to have more input. But for everything else here is just, trying how you can use your laptop to sort of mimic that and to get a sense what's going on in Max. And as you likely realize, it's very chaotic. Other questions? Yeah, so if you want to, align stuff, Control Shift A will align stuff. Say these three, and press Control Shift A to align those. These lines are ugly, then you can actually press Alt to select all these lines. And then I think there's so you can actually route. So Control Shift Y. So, originally it will be just, let me see. Originally it will be something like this. So you can actually press Control Shift Y. It will route it to avoid collision of something else. But it will turn it into, this like angle transition. So sometimes I don't like it. So that's why I keep these this way. Because if you use the same Control Shift Y, they will be, colliding. And oftentimes, if it works, it's fine. Just pathetic.
Oh, wait, what's the 88? The 88's a number.
88?
Like it says 88
Where's 88?
under the slider.
88?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I'm not. So this is like a number to show what that is.
Is that a message or?
It's a number. So message and number, technically the same idea. I guess like the simplest max patch you can do is just no in all the way to no out. That's it. Like a node in and then like a node out. This will be the simplest max patch, I guess, for your program if you have a MIDI synthesizer. Yeah. Good. While folks are still looking at how to make this work, you can also download the file on the website, and you will see other options. So this funnel thing is also cool, where you basically, if you don't like this thing, that's just too ugly. It's basically 60 to 72. So it's like a linear scale. So you can actually use this funnel things, where this funnel thing will turn this like these bank message into the number of that output. So in this case, I will start with 60. Funnel will be 60. The first one will match to 60. So when I press A, it will be 60. And when I press the second one, will be 61. So if you look at the bank will be, the first one coming in will be 60, the second one will be 61, the third one was 62. So this thing is sort of like just get rid of this whole things. But it's not so obvious what's going on if you write it this way. So you still have to sort of turn it into like a message to show it. And one thing you will see here is that funnel will add a 0 at the end for that. So you want to unpack these two things. So unpack is another things. So unpack have like two numbers as inputs. So it basically shows what these two, the message you coming in as what's the format? I mean, what's the data type of those? So 00 meaning that you are unpacking two numbers. So that's why your message coming out from funnel, which is 60, 0, so two numbers. So this unpack thing will match these two numbers and match to the two outlets. So these outlets will be 60. This outlet, if you show the message, it will be 0. We could show it here. So this thing will actually be a 0. Yeah. So, this is just like unpacking this message into two things. Other than that, everything is the same. And there's also this dictionary thing. You can actually set dictionary to, you can actually set dictionary. So you can actually store a dictionary, or you could just save it as, save it as a JSON file. So I've already have this JSON file here. So I already have this JSON file here, which is basically, 107, 97, which is A to 60, W, to 61. So this is like the JSON file. And you can actually just throw that JSON file in Max if you like. So this key is like import key MIDI map.json, and you can send it to this object dictionary key MIDI map. So once you have the object, you can actually just grab it. So these two things are the same thing. This is like the dictionary object. So you can actually query this dictionary object with get $1. So key will be, say, when I press A97, then we will get this get $1. That's the sort of the way how you get this message. So if you look at this, when I press A, it will become the message. This is like to compose the message with the first inlet. So $1 will be the first inlet. So it will put 97 to this. So it's actually sending that get 97 to this dictionary object. So this dictionary object, when you do get 97, it will send out something like this. It will be the input and there will be the mapping. So now you need to unpack the things. The first one is the same. It's like a text string. And the second one is a number. So now you unpack these two things. So the first one will be 97 actually. If you have a message here to show it. So now you unpack this message 9760 into two things, then the 60 can be used to make the note. So it's actually up to you. I mean, you could have potentially different keyboard setup, then you want to have a different JSON file for those. But in any case, this also work, and it actually looked more like a Max patch. Yeah.
When was it decided that it would be the default piano sound? Like we never
The
chose a
PGN out here.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it just does this by default, I assume.
Yeah, I mean,
Piano sound.
grand piano sound is the default 0. That's
Okay.
channel 0.
So you do the program out, and then if you change that number, it'll change the sound.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's where like 10 is the drums and then other
yeah, exactly. 10 would be the drum is channel. So channel is not handled by program. That's one thing very tricky. And that's what you will explore in the homework. So channel comes in here as the node out, the channel. So channel is part of the node on, node off event. Program only handle the instruments, not the drums. Yeah, so that's one thing very tricky with MIDI. So if you want to try, you could also change the program to something else. And, you know, that's what we explore on Monday. One is also piano. So every 12, 16, so 0 to 7 is all piano-ish. And starting 8 is like marimba, if I remember. 24 is bass, I think. And 36 is just string. Yeah. So if you want to try, yeah, I mean, usually I don't remember those actually. I go to general MIDI Wikipedia and just check it out. Piano.
Oh, piano.
Yeah. Usually, you know, this is like 0. And what are some of the most used one? And organ for these. And guitar is like 24, as I said. Bass is 33. Strings are a little bit tricky because you have violin, viola, cello, and they have like specific note range. So usually I would just use this string ensemble 49. It will be a full ensemble.
The choir.
That's choir? Which one are you using? 44?
Choir Oz 53.
Yeah, 53, yeah. Orchestra heat is also interesting. It's like that. How to explain? It's like one shot sounds. Yeah. And there's also like very chaotic stuff at the end of the things. It's like sound effects. You can actually use gunshot. And it's actually pitched gunshot. That's why it's interesting. Yeah. Cool. So that's what the homework will be working on. Any other question? Everybody get it working, kind of?
There you go. Just have a group. I wanna, and, yeah, and this is just like a text where you can, yeah. Just, let me get a marimba. Where's the mapping function? 13, what? Program out, yeah, you just put a message to the program out, and then once you lock it, you have to like press it once. It's not like.
Yeah, that's number one.
That's a fun one, but you don't, I mean, just use the, let's just like skip on like. Right?
Right.
Because we just about like. Wait, now we got.
I mean, how I got
I'm not
this
gonna get it, I hear this.
It just. It's a cocoa. And then I keep track of.
No, this is easy.
And then I just put it here.
I never heard this one.
No.
It has a hand member, that's what I wanted. Sounds like ass though.
And low tech.
Oh,
you know, all the
episodes.
So nothing fancy here. It's like, first.
It's like I'm just
Expect.
looking at the. Meter.
Cool. Yeah, so one thing you will notice interestingly in Max is that a lot of stuff it could be control and visualization at the same time. So this thing is like a control, but you can also visualize stuff. And these numbers are the same. Now you grab these things, then the numbers will change. But now you grab the numbers, you can change the number, but the message won't pass back up to update these things. So everything could be sort of like control and visualizer at the same time. Cool. Let's see. Cool. And I just realized I'm not connected to the.
Someone else doing it. Gunshots. Oh, that should be on that.
Gunshot, yeah. There's also the telephone ring, and it actually pitched. It's like weird.
The pen does not sound very real.
I mean that
You EQ,
EQ?
like in this, like could you EQ a sound?
Yeah. I mean, you mean Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You do it, right?
You can do EQ, you could do. Yeah, I mean filter, EQ, everything you can do it. Yeah, it's just not that simple. Yeah. So think about this as, like the fundamentals of all those, stuff are built upon. So you build something here and, you have to, the EQ is not magic. It's still some writing of filter and, band. It's basically EQ is like band filtering. So for each band, how much amounts of those you should pass. So you basically just do a filter and then you just want to change that. Yeah. We will see some of the example. I mean, we won't be able to actually get the, full EQ working, but, 3-band EQ, 4-band, 5-band is probably fine. There's also, option that you can do in Max. We'll see later. Cool. I guess we could move on. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's move on a little bit. So we will still be in the MIDI world for a little long while, and next we will jump into making some sounds, doing some synthesizer. But using MIDI is an easy way that you don't need to mess up with a bunch of stuff, but sort of like get to understand what Max is doing. So, one thing interesting of this is that, toggle and button is that toggle is like 1 and 0 and it will stay. So this could be useful, like when you want to turn on something and then have it state. But button is different. Button is that it will switch that state. So button is like 0, 1 switch or 1 to 0 switch. And you can see that this is like only one unidirection. So once you click the button, it will like swap this, switch this toggle, and you can set it back, but these things will override. So one thing you can do, very simple, is that you can actually do a metro. So metro is metronome basically. So 600 is the millisecond. So this thing's just every 0.6 second, it will just doing this. So sort of similar to almost 1 second. And now you can also have another metronome, which is 300 milliseconds, so it will be much faster. And you will have another metro, 200. So now you can actually do polyrhythm in some sense, but now these are not synchronized. So one thing you can do is just to use this toggle to set them up. So you will see that they actually just do their things. So you can see the polyrhythm here, kind of. So toggle would be a good way to, or button could be a good way to send everything so that they do it at the same time. So you can actually make some note here. So these are just notes. If you just look at this is just the bass, and this is the hi-hat. So you can actually just do, polyrhythm. So, that's like very easy things to see. Metro is like just sending. And what you see, what Metro is doing is actually it's sending this bank message out every time. So if you want to trigger 35 for your node, you have to connect this to the left-hand side of that. So as we talk about, in the example we just went through, the left one would be triggering this message. So you send a bank message like that bank message here, then it will trigger 35 to change, to send it here. If you connect it to the right-hand side, it's not that useful in this case because, it will see that's just bank. And for this bank node thing, it's like, I don't know what bank means. So it doesn't work. Cool. So this will be 35 so that you can actually get it down. Cool. So that's an easy patch. I would just go through very fast about some of the other stuff you can do in Max. So one of the things that's a little bit confusing in Max is that you will see this, red and blue things. So the red one, every single inlet that's red one is the hot inlet, and the blue one is cold inlet. So what does that mean? Basically, that means that, if it's a cold inlet, when you change the number, it won't trigger the output. But if it's a hot inlet, it will trigger the output. So, if you want to set something that react both to the cold inlet and hot inlet, then you have to do an additional work. So one thing you can do here, one thing we talk about is that you can actually also set the default value for the right thing. So, you have 0 at the left, and at the right, you have nothing here, but you can actually set the default for that. So now this thing will just add anything to +3. So this is very straightforward. You could also see here that it could just change that behavior. So originally it's like 35 + 3. It should be 38. But now once you click it, it will sort of like change this value to -1 and it will stay there. So that's something, also a little bit kind of like unnatural, but also natural once you think through the whole max philosophy, is that it will just stay there. That's the state. So now this +3 is gone. It's now -1 here. So that's one thing you can also do. There's also these things where you can actually turn the cold inlet into a hot inlet. That's where you can use this trigger thing. So trigger is, that you have something here, and you can trigger it with bank and I. So it will send a bank message at the left inlet, and the I is the input, will send through the right-hand side. So, you can actually look at these. So I can look at what the left one is doing. So now if I, change this to 17, it will actually, so it will send something out here, like send 17 here, and it will trigger this thing. And this thing will send a bank at the left and send a I. That's I is the integer that you get. So the integer will be coming up from the right. So now you can actually turn the things into a hot inlet by just connecting this band message to the left one. So if you just send a band message, so if you look at this, set left operand or trigger the calculation. If we get the number, it will set the left operand. If we just get a band message, then it will trigger the calculation. So now you can actually turn it into a hot inlet. And the shorthand is something like this. So sometimes you see in Max is that you will see a lot of like T something, and you might be wondering what's going on. Because this thing is like so commonly used, so it has a shorthand TBI. So basically trigger and turn the things into a band message and integer. And that integer will be the input. So in this case, you can just use TBI to get band and 17. So now these two things will be both hot inlet that, when you change the right-hand side, it will also trigger the calculation. In this case, if you change the right one, it won't change. So, sometimes it's very important because, if your interface is like two things that you want to add together, you want everything to be triggered. You could also see, then you will have something like this. In the future, you will see, these kind of like loop or what's that? Let me do one. So basically you can do a loop. So where this is like a code inlet. So when you do a loop, it won't trigger this calculation. Whenever you do it, then it will show it up. So you can also do a loop like the outputs and sort of get a counter basically. Let me restart. So I have a 0. So this could be like a counter basically. So I have 0, and whenever I click it, it will add 1 to that thing. And because we are connecting this thing to the right-hand side, it won't go into that infinite loop. So this thing, so when I click it, it now become 1, and then this 1 will send it here, but it won't trigger the calculation. But now the right-hand side will be 1. So the next time when you click it, it's 1 plus 1. And now 2, send it here. So now you set the right-hand side as 2, but you won't trigger the calculation. Now when I click it, become 1 plus 2. So, this is a very easy way to just do a counter, basically. This thing doesn't work. It will just break because you can see that there's like a infinite loop here where you get the outputs and then 0, send it back to the hot inlet. Then it will just keep looping and it will just break. Some other things. So, you can actually get a counter that just like every 1 second, it will just add 10, kind of. So this will be like a counter. You can also just do, minus, kind of. Cool. So these are some of the easy stuff that we can do. I don't really know what's going on here. Let's see. Okay, so count it. This doesn't work. Cool. And this is the one that I show you. And last night I was sort of like stuck here because I forgot that you have to set the data type. So, if you do it this way, it doesn't know what that type is. When you have like $I, it knows that is an integer. So this is essentially what we are trying to do to turn that into like a frequency. So now finally we're getting some sounds from those. So what's going on here is 440 times 2 to the pitch number minus 69. That's essentially what's going on. 69 because that's essentially what 440 is. That's middle A. So from 60 C, D, F, G, A, B. So if you count it, it will be 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 67, 67, 68, 69. So middle A is 69. And that's why you have the pitch at 69. So when you plug in 69, these things become 440 times 2 to the 12 and 0 at the top. So this thing will become 0. So this thing will become a 1. So it will be 440. And you can see that whenever, an octet of both. So now if you have like 62 plus 12, that becomes the high A. So high A will be, 60s plus 12. Then it will be 12 over 12. It will be 1. So basically, it will be A80. So this is like the formula to turn a MIDI node number back to the frequency. Because that basically is like when you jump an octave, it will be, double the frequency. And this thing is basically the equal temperament. You divided all the frequency into 12 equal chunk in log scale, basically. But anyway, you can do something like that. I need to lock it, set it up. I heard something. Yep. That's basically that. So you can see that, when it's like this is like 220, this is 440. So 220 is, C next to middle C, and this is like IC. But you will see that 220. This is like so commonly used. So actually there's a built-in object M2F, MIDI to frequency and frequency to MIDI. So you can actually just get rid of this and put it here. And then you will see it's essentially the same idea. And F2M would give you the other way. So, if you have like a 440 as input and you have another output, then when you click it as 440, it will say 69. That's basically the middle. Hey. Cool. We running out of time? Nope. So these are some of the other things, and there's a bunch of other stuff before we jump into, more complex stuff. This doesn't show up nicely. Let me show it in Max 8. This one I basically just copy from the example. That's why it looks a little bit weird. So this one is talking about the message ordering, which is like over time you will find it a little bit tricky to get it right. Let me see. So, you can visualize what's going on. Actually, I need to enable debugging here, then we can see what's going on. So when I click this, it will go through that. And then how do I do the next one? So you can see that internally, when you open the debugger, it will actually show how message pass through. Even though Max, you feel like everything is like real time, it's fundamentally writing C code in Juice. So it's actually still running sequentially because that's, what our computer is doing. But, now you can see that Macs actually go from right to left. So which is like a little bit counterintuitive. From top to down is likely, how you see it working, but actually it's actually counterintuitive. So, it's right to left and bottom to up. In this case, it will first send something to the bottom one, and then send something to the middle one and the top one. And, if there's like this very tricky things, it will do right to left and then bottom to top, but it will use the steps traversal. So you can see that it will go to the right first, and then it will go down all the way, and then go right, and then go down, and then go down. So that's what we meant by depth first. So it's not like going to this and back and go to this and back, go to this and back. It will just go deeper into these things and then go deeper into this thing until you finish all of those branches. So branches first. So this can be seen from the console. Here. Well, clear everything. So now if I click it, which one will show up first? Oh, 60. Okay, nice. Okay, it's gone. Yeah, you're right. Of course. I mean, but if you just mess up with these things, like up and down, it could have different behavior. So, sometimes if ordering is important, then you have to be careful of how you align these stuff. In this case, still 60, 50, 40, because right to left is more important than bottom to top. Cool. So that's just a tiny patch to show you that even though it feels like everything is like a flow, like a water flow, but technically you're still writing some C code. So there's some ordering going on. Cool. Controls, I feel like I've already talked about some of these. So this is sort of like similar to what we have with mouse X, mouse Y kind of. You can actually get the mouse state. So once I started it, you can actually set the metro 100 is that for every 0.1 second, I will query this mouse state. So now it's just like super fast. So you can see that everything will just update very smoothly. So you can see the X position at the right top is like 0, 0. So basically just like processing kind of. You can get the speed and Y speed easily. You don't need to, calculate, X minus previous X. Anyway, left click. But everything else, you will have to do it with the modifiers. So you can also with like Control, Alt, Shift. Shift doesn't work. It does work. Alt kind of thing. So these are modifiers and mouse state. So you can actually see what's going on with your things. We talked about key already, and that's what we will in. So you can actually, there's some sounds going on because I didn't turn off the things. Let's say goodbye to this. Cool. So you will have the key and also the key up. That's when you hold and lift it, then you get the key up only when you lift your key. There's also, num key where you can actually just do numbers. So I can say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's will appear here. And this thing is just kind of interesting because once you type some numbers and you can hit enter to get those numbers. So I can press 1, 2, 3 and press enter. Then it will only shows up when you have the enter. So this is like kind of like a easy way if you want to build an interface where, prompt the user to write something to get a number. And, this one will be chaotic. Think about this as like, I don't know, like a hertz something, then it will be, if I want to do 440 and along the way that the user is typing, it will be 4 hertz, 44 hertz, and then 440 hertz. So that's something likely you don't want, especially when you want have like real time outputs. So whenever you hit enter, then you get this. So, if you want to set, have the user to see, like set the frequency, then, the left one will be better in that case so that you won't get, 4 hertz in the process. There's also this mouse filter where you can basically just grab it and, nothing will happen unless you lift it, then it will update it. So this mouse filter is also fine where you want to be very precise. Like I want to just get this number. Okay, now I'm sure, then I lift it. So these are also, things that you can control the behavior, especially when you are facing some user. That's just nice. Cool. So let me see what's going on here. That's a good question. What I'm trying here. Oh, yeah. So this is what you will get when you are doing. Did I get any sound? Somehow I don't get any sound. Okay. This is what we get. So this is just like a 440 361 sound. You can actually turn, the frequency. But this mouse filter will be helpful if you want to say, I want to have it like 440 and then enter, then it will only make it 440 when I change it. Or I want to turn it into like 220 and it won't just change over time. But when I change to that. You see that, slowly decaying things because there's some line things that we have to worry about. Otherwise, there will be clipping some. That's really bad. Otherwise, these are, some of the controls that could be helpful, especially when you are building, user-facing things. Cool. I think we're running out of time, but I would just show you. This is like a simple synthesizer that we can do. So now we are actually getting something cool. I can get rid of these. These are just preventing because we have multiple tabs here. If everything just started, it will be chaotic. So this is just a trigger select so that when this is on, then this will pass through. When this is off, nothing will pass through. So this is just for me to control that, here, these things are not passed through the speaker. Cool. So what's going on here is just a very simple, sine wave where we are basically having this cycle, 440 cycle, so you will get the sine wave. And now you see this like product times tilde. So start tilde. So that's different from, that's different from like times. So when you do times, it will be something like, I don't know, 440 times 1. And you will see that, the output is not working here because it's not a signal. So whenever you want to time two things, that signal, you have to use times tilde here. So that now the outputs become the signal. So that's the difference between times and times tilde. So in this case, because the cycle is a continuous signal coming in, then you want to times tilde. One of those has to be signal, even though, in this case, it's just time 1. So, this is like a easy way to manipulate the amplitude. So, 0.1 would be sort of like half the energy. The energy would be in log scale. But you can change it basically. So these will be smaller volume, and if you turn it up, it will be the thing. So as I said, the selector is basically just controlling. So this selected like 0 and 1. So the selector is basically if you hover onto this. Oops, that's not what I want. You will see. you see that, selector, the first one is like turns input off or routes to output. So the things will be, if you look at the message, what's the sending? It will be 0 when it's not on, and it will be 1 when it's on. If it's 0, then nothing will send to here. If it's 1, it will look at the first one. So if this thing actually do 2, then there could be additional channels here. So that the selector is basically doing the router thing. You could have multiple different things. So think about, this is like sine wave, there could be triangle wave, square wave, and this will be a selector so that you can change it to different things. Yeah, basically that's what we'll see. Phaser, we can turn it into down. This is basically changing, modulating the magnitude for one and this is like a sine wave on the amplitude. So that's the artifact of my laptop. It always like this. But basically now we are doing sort of like AM, basically. Amplitude manipulation. For now it's like very slow, so we're just like this, like we go in effect. But AM is how you do the good old traditional way. AM. Actually, when you want to record like the frequency response of a room, that's what the sound that you use, the chirping sounds. So basically from 0 to the frequency that you want. So usually when you want to measure like the frequency response of a room, you will send this chirping sound, and then you record like a microphone to record its response. Frequency from 0 to 1. So you see that frequency from 0 to 1, and then it times this 440 cycling things and send it to cycle. So now you are doing frequency modulation. And later you will see that, FM synthesizer is basically based on this idea, but it's much more complex, as you will see. Like another things. Cool. We will get into more stuff, more fun next Monday. And homework will be due next Monday. Yeah.